Welcome to Insightful Gaming, where we explore the coolest and strongest builds in Destiny. And today, I have a treat for you. We're going to unleash the true endgame potential of the Arc Warlock with a Stormcaller build that will have you crushing your enemies and supporting your teammates like never before. Ladies and gentlemen, let me paint you a picture of a perfectly crafted build. A build that mows down enemies and keeps abilities up and running like a caffeinated squirrel. If this sounds like your kind of fun, then buckle up, because it's time for the Arc Warlock to step into the limelight. The Arc Warlock, my friends, is the gift that keeps on giving. Ionic traces are like tiny electric elves that tirelessly work to keep your abilities primed and ready to unleash hell. To top it off, these bad boys throw an increased damage and enemy clearance, making you the darling of any team. And if you thought that was all, get ready to have your mind blown. With Arc Souls at your command, you're always on. No off days, no timeouts. You're the walking, talking source of damage resistance, and with the Fallen Sunstar in your arsenal, you're recharged and ready to go at a speed that'd make a cheetah jealous. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the damage output and survival power of this build in some high-stakes games. It was like a David and Goliath moment, as even when underpowered, the Arc Warlock stood tall, unscathed, and victorious. Thanks to its extraordinary healing abilities and damage resistances, it's like an unyielding fortress. And folks, let's not forget about the spamming ability of this build. With this setup, you'll be tossing grenades left and right like it's Mardi Gras, with ionic traces juicing up your armor charges. You get energy back for every grenade thrown and rift spam. All that on top of the energy and healing showered by the orbs of power and ionic traces. To kick things off, let's talk about the Fallen Sunstar. This special item is pretty straightforward. Its main function is to double the energy we get from ionic traces. Normally, when we collect an ionic trace, it gives us 12.5 energy each for our grenade and melee abilities and 50 energy for our class ability. But with the Fallen Sunstar, these values are doubled. So we get 20 energy for both the grenade and melee abilities and a whopping 100 energy for our class ability. That means with just 4 ionic traces, all our abilities are recharged and ready to go. But there's more. The Fallen Sunstar also boosts the energy of our nearby friends. When we collect ionic traces, our allies receive 10 energy for each of their abilities. It's not as much as we get, but it's a nice bonus that makes this helmet even more helpful. Given that our goal is to generate loads of ionic traces, the Fallen Sunstar is by far the best item for our build. It's perfect for spamming abilities. Now let's take a look at how we can create these ionic traces in our Arc subclass. Now let's dive into some weapon pairings that mesh seamlessly with this build. Of course, these are merely suggestions, so feel free to bring out your favorite arsenal. The goal is to select weapons that aid in producing more ionic traces. Perks like Volt Shot are particularly handy for this. Exotics such as Trinity Gould, Centrifuge, Delicate Tomb, and Cold Heart are exceptional choices for this build. But hold on, there's more. Weapons equipped with the Volt Shot perk are excellent accompaniments. Keep an eye out for options like Tarnished Metal and the 𝗕𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗕𝗥 SMG. When it comes to your heavy slot, it's entirely up to you. Some popular options include Thunderlord, Hothead, Anarchy, or Apex Predator, especially when paired with the Bait and Switch perk and Reconstruction. This slot allows for plenty of customization to cater to your specific playstyle. Now, let's jump into our Arc setup, starting with our abilities. Our super is the Chaos Reach, one of the most potent damaging supers in the game. Plus, this season's artifact mods, which I'll delve into later, make it even more appealing. For our class ability, we are using Healing Rift. The Empowering Rift, while good, doesn't bring much to the table in this build. We do have decent damage resistance sources, but the overall healing is quite limited. So, Healing Rift is your best friend in those pinch moments. Moving on to our melee, I personally love the Ball Lightning. It's like a mini pulse grenade. The Chain Lightning melee ability is potent and cools down quickly, but it requires you to be close to enemies. Also, in my opinion, Chain Lightning has always been hit or a miss for me. The Ball Lightning is a safer and, in my opinion, superior choice. In the world of grenades, I swear by Pulse Grenades. They are currently top tier, even for Warlocks. Storm Grenades are quite potent too, but they got a significant nerf. Therefore, I'd recommend sticking with Pulse Grenades for the most part. For our first aspect, we're going with Electrostatic Mine, which will generate the majority of the ionic traces in this build. This aspect creates ionic traces whenever you score a final blow with any ability. It also creates traces when you eliminate a jolted or blinded target. Collecting these traces turns us into an amplified powerhouse. Next up is Arc Soul, which gives us Arc Souls whenever we place down and walk through our rift. Our teammates also benefit from this, and when amplified, these Arc Souls fire faster, thus increasing their DPS. Next up, for our aspects, we are using Spark of Resistance. With this, we gain a 25% damage resistance boost in our build. However, it has a condition that you need to be within 15 meters of 3 or more enemies, and it only lasts for 2 seconds after these conditions are no longer met. Spark of Magnitude is another winner, especially with a pulse grenade. It extends the duration of its lingering effects, increasing the total pulse count from 6 to 8. Furthermore, Spark of Shock enhances our grenade's damage and clear range as they now apply Jolt, which directly damages targets and increases the AoE damage. Finally, Spark of Discharge comes in handy, as it enables arc weapon final blows to create ionic traces. This is a fantastic feature for creating some ionic traces and recharging those abilities from scratch when they're not around. Alright, let's dive right into the mods we'll be using in this build. Feel free to take a snapshot or pause the video here if you want to look closer. I will also provide a dim link for easy access. On our head, our first mod is Arc Siphon, which enables arc weapon final blows to generate orbs of power. Since we're also using these to create ionic traces, it's a perfect match for our build, helping us generate those power-boosting orbs. Next up, we have Ashes to Assets and Hands-On. Both of these mods will supercharge our energy every time we score final blows with grenades and melee, which is quite frequently given we'll be spamming abilities in this build. On our arms, we are using Firepower. This beauty lets us spawn extra orbs of power each time we land a final blow with a grenade. Then, Bolstering Detonation kicks in, granting us more class ability energy every time our grenades inflict damage. This happens a lot, meaning we'll constantly have Arc Souls at our team's disposal. Grenade Kickstart is another nifty mod in our arsenal. Every time we toss a grenade, we get a good chunk of energy right back. Next, for our legs, we are using Recuperation for extra healing. Each time we collect orbs of power, we get a straight 70 HP back. Stacks on Stacks is another mod that works well with this build. It allows us to consistently maintain higher armor charge stacks, which feeds directly into Grenade Kickstart, ensuring we get more energy back each time we use that mod. Elemental Charge, a brand new mod this season, gives us a rising chance of gaining armor charge stacks each time we pick up ionic traces. These can be doubled with Stacks on Stacks, leading to more consistent grenade usage through Grenade Kickstart. Lastly, on our Warlock Bond, we have Bomber and Outreach. These mods gift us 20% of our grenade and melee energy back each time we use our class ability, keeping us healed in different locations and refreshing our Arc Souls. And to top it all off, we're running Powerful Attractions. This ensures any orbs we create in close proximity are automatically collected, boosting our charge stacks and instantly healing us through recuperation every time we use our class ability. Okay, let's break down these powerful seasonal mods. They're not mandatory, but they'll certainly boost the effectiveness of your build. First up, we have 5 types of anti-champion mods. Pick the ones you need for the activity you are doing. Next, in the second row, we've picked authorized mods, Arc and Melee. These fantastic mods reduce the energy costs of all armor mods that affect your melee and arc abilities. They're crucial for this build. In the third row, we have a couple of key mods. Electric Armor keeps you amplified longer when your Arc subclass is active, and Thunderous Retort boosts your Arc super damage if activated when you're critically injured or amplified, lasting until the end of the super activation. Both are important for our build. Thunderous Retort is truly impressive, and it's a breeze to use. Moving on to the fourth row, the useful mods for our build include Counter Charge, which gives you a stack of armor charge each time you stun a champion. And next one is Amped Up, which provides damage resistance while you're amplified. Lastly, in the fifth row, we need Shock and Awe. This mod triggers a burst of damaging lightning that jolts targets with arc final blows when you're amplified. Next is Squad Goals, which gives amplified to nearby allies when you perform a finisher while you're amplified and your arc subclass is active. It's not as beneficial in this build, but grab it if you have an extra point. Finally, we're adding Lightning Strikes twice. After throwing an arc grenade, you boost your grenade recharge for a short time. Arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit. It's a handy tool in your arsenal. That's it for today. If this video tickled your fancy and you crave more, don't hesitate to drop a comment, smash that like button, and hit subscribe. Until our next rendezvous, keep hustling and may the RNG gods shower you with their blessings.